Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The You Are. I am Callie Thomas. I'm here with my co-host, Rodnesha Green.
Hello. I was about to say hello, Vietnam. That feels inappropriate. It's referential. It's Robin Williams.
We've done it before.
Have we?
I'm sure you've done it before.
Well, then I'm going to do it again. Hello, Vietnam.
Hello.
You guys can tell me in the comments if I have or not. Welcome back, guys. Callie, how goes it?
Let me not be the person that says I'm tired every single time, because I know I did that last time. How goes it? Well, I'm a little bit perturbed with some news that I saw recently.
I bet it's the news I too saw.
Well, we can discuss it here, because I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But I mean, we already got the news that the Severance writers at this point in time have only finished 6 episodes.
Only 6.
And the plan is to get, I don't know if they're going to do 10 again or if they're going to do 9 or whatever, but the next however many done in order to be ready to start shooting this summer. But also just heard that Apple acquired the series from 5th Season. So if you are like, wait, it's already an Apple show, if you're confused, 5th Season is the production company that does it.
Yes.
But then it's on Apple streaming. Well, Apple is now going to produce it. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing.
I don't either.
My first thought and hope was that maybe it might not make a difference for this season, but maybe if there's a 4th season, it speeds things up a little bit, because from what I've seen, the Apple produced shows for Apple have a quicker turnaround for their season. So maybe they might be a little tighter on deadlines that way. I don't know.
That'd be nice.
But I don't really know. I don't really know how to feel about the acquisition. What are your thoughts?
Well, that points to kind of the same issue that I worry about as far as like how it's going to affect the output of future seasons. Will it have the same feel? Will it have the same tone? Mm-hmm. Now that Apple is going to own or be the producing company for Severance, will that change the way things operate? Surely it is going to change the operations. Anytime things change hands, it's going to change things. But I guess to what degree? And will that affect the quality of the show? Will that affect the feel of the show? Will they start having certain priorities because Apple that they want the show to incorporate that's going to kind of take us out of the world a bit? I don't know. You know, I mean, listen, Apple, and that was the other thing I was going to ask you, and I don't know if you know the answer. Apple has several shows, obviously, on their platform. I don't know how many of them are in-house produced by them versus how many are not, or if maybe any shows that have come to Apple produced not in-house eventually do go to them, and that's just kind of the way it is.
Let's find out.
Because I'm thinking to myself, like, there's lots of other shows that we like on Apple. Morning Show's a great show. Silo's a great show. Shrinking's a great show. What's the Seth Rogen one? The Studio. There it is.
Okay, I mean, they have good stuff. They have good stuff that's in-house produced.
Okay, all right.
What I've seen, it's a short list, so.
All this to say, guys, there's a lot of little tidbits of things coming out. For those who are our typical Severance audience, we've been tracking different little snippets and things that are coming out about Severance. There was another thing that I read before this about, I guess, an interview regarding the future of Severance, and when I first saw it, it said something that alluded to like Severance ending after season 4.
I was going to say that too.
And then the possibility of spin-offs or prequels. Then I saw another post that came out, I guess, where Dan Erickson had response to that article saying that a lot of the stuff that it was purporting was taken out of context. So I don't know how accurate any of that really is or isn't. But I know when I saw it, I was kind of like, all right, I guess I could make my peace with a 4-season series. Like it's I don't know, but I think when I saw like spinoffs and sequels, I got a little nervous about that because I was like, I mean, there is some stuff I would want to see. But
when I saw the spinoff part, I was like,
yeah,
what? I don't even, what?
And then it said international spinoffs too, which not that I'm saying you can't do that, but I was just kind of like, is it going to be like The Office where they have international versions of The Office in different countries? It's the same story, but the cast for that country.
Yeah.
Or is it going to be like a new story abroad? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like going to Italy and seeing his broke down branch.
The broke down branch.
that has wooden Egan statues and a rope
Mm-hmm.
how you say a rope
A rope.
instead of an elevator.
I guess the thing is, like, for as much as I want to see expansion of the world, I was thinking it would happen within
Mm-hmm.
the present series. Like, I wasn't thinking we'd need a whole prequel series
Yeah.
that explains the Egans and things like that. I was just kind of hoping it would naturally evolve in the storytelling we're getting. So I don't know if it
Mm-hmm.
is something I want to see set apart or not. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I really only want it in that format if it's short
Mm,
form drops of, little extras. Like and so far the extras we have gotten have all been like written
yeah.
documents and stuff. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't really want an additional whole series.
It essentially is making me think of the current standing of all things Game of Thrones, right? All things
Mm,
George R.R. Martin, where like my understanding is that George R.R. Martin is not loving how his work is getting picked apart into all these different series and he's being more and more
yeah.
left out of the creative.
Hmm.
And at this point, they're literally trying to milk this franchise for as much as they can. So it's like, okay, we got Game of Thrones.
Hmm.
Now we've got the prequel to Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. Now we've got another spin-off, Dunk and Egg, or Night of the Seven Kingdoms or whatever. That's the newest one. Yeah. I haven't watched that one yet because I'm still getting my head around House of the Dragon. It's just like, what other things? How much can we milk? What else can we pull? And like at a certain
Yeah.
point, it's kind of, I don't know, for me, the value of it goes in and out. I mean, there's some people I've talked to who love the new Night of the Seven Kingdoms series and think it's great,
Right.
but all of them seem like they're just going to be little mini deviations. This is all to say, we're just putting the information out there. If you haven't heard it yet, there you go. That's the buzz right now. All right, but that's all we have to say about that, guys. So anyway, we're not here to talk about Severance today. We're here to talk
Mm.
more Wonder Man.
Woohoo.
Where are we at with Wonder Man today, Cal?
We will be going over episodes 3 and 4, titled Pacoima and Doorman. Ooh, excited a
Oh,
bit
I'm so ready to talk
about
about.
Doorman, but
I can't wait.
we gotta get there
We got to get
first.
there. We got to get there. So we're going to go ahead and shoot through these cast details and start breaking it down. All right, guys. So for our episodes today that we're going to cover, we know our main cast, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as Simon, Sir Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery, Arian Moayed as Agent Cleary, Ex Mayo as Janelle Jackson, Byron Bowers as DeMarr, Doorman, Davis, and Josh Gad as himself. And then the notable guest stars and cameos that we have coming in this set are going to be Dan Donahue as Deputy Secretary Heyerdahl. I don't
I don't
remember
know.
how
I
to
don't
say it.
think they say
I
it
don't think
in
they
the
say it
show.
either. Okay, all right, I'm not crazy. Shola Adewusi as Martha Williams, Demetrius Gross as Eric Williams, Charlotte Ross as Bridget, and Mario Lopez as himself. So many cameos. All right. Pacoima was written by Paul Welsh, Madeline Walter, and Destin Daniel Creighton, and Doorman was written by Zeke Nicholson, Destin Daniel Creighton, and Andrew Guest. And both of these episodes were directed by James Ponsoldt.
I think so.
Should have looked it up. All right.
That's phonetic.
And that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Sound it out. Never leaves you guys, even as an adult. All right, let's start talking Pacoima.
All right. We start with a glimpse into the past that reveals there was an incident involving a 13-year-old Simon and a kitchen fire. And he somehow was unscathed in the event. But the details of what happened are murky at best, where we leave it. And we jump to the present day, and Agent Cleary is very frustrated that the hacking of Simon's computer was not very fruitful. It just yielded many, many, many self-tapes. And he instructs Slattery to attend Simon's mother's birthday party in Pacoima and to wear a wire to try to capture something incriminating about Simon's childhood and possibly even more details about this mysterious fire. Miraculously, Slattery is able to get himself invited to the party,
Mm-hmm.
and he meets Simon's mother, Martha, and his brother Eric, and a whole host of people who knew Simon when he was younger. And then it becomes clear very quickly that Eric and Simon don't have the best relationship. Eric doesn't think highly of Simon's acting career, and there's something else bubbling underneath there. So, in a heated argument about Simon's lack of accomplishments, Simon has another energy outburst that destroys his mom's new kitchen island. And then Simon and Slattery leave the party, where he reveals to Slattery that he's the first person outside of his family to know about his powers, and see them this way. And so, just as Simon is going through it, he's going through it, y'all. He's contemplating giving up acting. Janelle calls with the great news that both he and Slattery have made it to callbacks for Wonder Man. So there you go. There's episode 3.
You had a question up top.
Yeah. So, okay. We don't get the fire scene, right? We get them checking Simon out at the doctor's office after the fire. And this is also where we learn that Simon's father has passed by this point in time. And, he's totally fine. He has no burns. He has no scratches. He has no signs of smoke inhalation. He is good. He's a healthy young lad. And so I was like, does Simon have healing powers, or is he indestructible? Like, did he come out with no problems, or did he get hurt in the fire but was just healed by the time he got to the doctor? I don't know. They never give us more information, but I was curious about that.
Yeah. So 2 things. 1, don't know how they're going to play Simon's origin of powers in the series versus the comics. I think there is speculation that Simon might be a mutant in this iteration, kind of like they did with Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Where Miss Marvel's powers in the comics weren't mutant originated, but in the series, they are making it where it's a mutation and she will be part of the mutant saga. So some people are wondering if the same will be true with Simon for Wonder Man. But in the comics, I think what I understood was that his abilities, I think, allow him to heal quickly, is my understanding. So it's not that he's like impervious to damage. I think it's that he can heal from it very quickly. But again, I don't know if that will be the same setup that they give him for this, if they decide to explain it.
Right. And that brings me to another question later in this episode when he's talking to Trevor about, you're the first person outside of my family, yada, yada, yada. He's like, I don't know what happened. Trevor's like, you don't owe me an explanation. He's like, I don't have one. Like, I don't know how I got this. So I wonder, do we think that's true? Do we think he knows like what happened and when he got his powers and how, and has just not disclosed that yet? Or is there some unknown event and he just started having them? Or like if it is mutant, that maybe points more to the mutant thing, that it just like developed, like he hit puberty and just started having these powers.
Yeah. There is a later episode that, again, some people point to. They do a flashback conversation, and we'll get into it when we get to those episodes. But there's a flashback conversation that happens that some people are saying like, oh, we don't think he always had these powers. Maybe it came, again, with mutants. It usually happens around puberty or something like that activates it.
And
So, yeah.
He does say in this one that it wasn't always like that.
Right. Exactly. So I think they've been dropping little hints that like, don't think it's a he was born this way thing. Don't think it's like DeMarr Doorman, and we'll get into it next episode, where he encountered an entity or a thing, right, that transmuted those powers. I think it might be something that just happened at a certain point in his life. So we still don't know what the catalyst is. We'll see if they get into it or explain it further. Also, let me backtrack on what you said. So in the comics, it says that he is near invulnerable and has immortality.
Ooh.
So I guess it just takes a very severe act of something or severe amount of power or strength to cause any physical harm to him. Otherwise, he's pretty much somewhat impervious to it. So correction on that. Yeah. And there's some other powers he has too, but we won't talk about those yet. So it would be interesting to know if there was any other outside exposure. I don't know. There's so much about Simon's background. We get bits and pieces, but not a lot. And there's still a lot of mystery around his upbringing. And I don't know. And it also doesn't help that he seems to be just a very naturally private person.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, was he always going to be that way? Or is it because of his powers? And there is a conversation that happens in this episode with Trevor's mom.
Yeah.
With Simon's mom and Trevor.
Yeah.
That makes you think that it's not necessarily just the powers that make him kind of kind of to himself and isolated, but it doesn't help either.
Yeah.
But on the note of Simon's mother, Simon, I love her little accent, her little Haitian accent. Shola Adewusi, so lovely as Simon's mom. Loved her. And then as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, I know her. I know her.
Yeah.
If you guys watched the hilarious series Chewing Gum with Michaela Cole, she was in that as her mom there. And so funny. She's just a great character actor. So I love getting to see her in this. And she still has that like quirkiness, but she also, you got to see a little more like grounded acting from her as well, which she's fully capable of.
Yeah. Chewing Gum, I love it for the culture, but that character is so cringy.
Cringe.
It's so hard to watch. It's, I laughed. It's funny. I can't watch it again. Anyway, tangent.
Yeah, sorry.
Before they get to the party and Trevor gets himself invited, I was like, my God, Simon really has no friends. Like, truly, we get a sense of it, but like, he really has no friends because I guess this is similar to at the end of the previous episode when I'm like, why doesn't he think it's weird that Trevor didn't have a big reaction to seeing that hole in his wall? I'm like, why does he not? He thinks it's weird for a second that Trevor wants to be invited to his mom's birthday party, but he doesn't think it's weird enough.
No.
He doesn't think it's weird enough. He's like, well, very easily convinced that like, I don't normally have friends come, so let's have a friend come, you know?
I suppose that's not too illogical. It could be beneficial to me. Yeah, I guess. I
was like, dang, Simon, this is weird. You should have said no. But I know we wouldn't have an episode. I get it, but
also him just need a friend so bad. Like I said, he clearly just latched onto this guy and is like, I don't know why he wants to come with me to Pacoima, but hey, someone actually wants to do something with me. I guess I say yes. I guess you come with it, even though Trevor, this is one of the few times that I was like, Trevor, this was not one of your slicker moments to get in. Oh, Pacoima. I love
Pacoima.
I've never been. And he's like, it's like Cleveland. Right. I've never been to Cleveland either. It's like, okay, Eager, like, let's calm down. It's like you're putting it on a little too hard. So yeah, somehow he gets the invite. It's so short notice too. Yeah, these two, we have to keep in mind, these two just met. Mm-hmm. These two have spent a day together at this point? Has it even been a full day? Has it been? I don't know. They haven't explained like how much time it's been between.
Yeah, I don't know how much is in between each thing, but like all of the first episode happened in one day, right? And then the self-tape was a later day.
Right.
So 2 days of hanging out.
Right. Best case scenario. Or worst case scenario, however you want to look at it. So yeah, this is very new. I don't know that someone I met 2 days ago, I'd jump in a car with and be like, let's go to my family's house. But what are you going to do?
You ain't got no friends.
You ain't got no friends. If you don't got no friends,
exactly.
How do you make a friend? So I guess maybe this is how he thinks you make friends. Maybe he's so inexperienced, Callie, with making friends that he's like, ordinarily I'd say no and then I'm alone. So maybe this time I say yes and I'm not alone.
It supports a point that you have in your notes that I won't bring up because you have it in your notes. I'll wait until you bring it up, but we'll cycle back to this. But okay, so then this party. Oh, it's so funny. It's funny. Some of the conversations Trevor has to have with the neighbor lady where he snaps at her and she's like, oh.
He's like, I just wanted some stories, geez. Right? I don't want to hear about who you don't like and why you don't like. I just love, you know what I love though? I love that Trevor is not afraid to clap back, even at strangers. I mean, he's polite for all intents and purposes, but if you give him a reason to not be, then he's going to be like, fine then.
And he's like, the underlying motivation, of course, is he's like, I need to get something. True. You're wasting my time. I'm here for a reason.
True.
Or I go back to jail. Okay. So come on. I don't care that you didn't like Simon. Just tell me that I'm Jesus Christ. But he can't actually say that.
You had something that I was like, what's...
Oh, there's another part of conversation, right? So while, Trevor said that he's going to be Simon's buffer, but he's not because, like we said, he's there on a mission, right? Mm-hmm. And so Trevor gets trapped talking to like two cousins or two neighborhood people. We don't know his relation to them, but they're feigning interest in like how his acting career is going. They're asking questions, but they don't really care, right? And I'm sure you've had conversations like this. And so at one point he tells them, about how his schedule is unpredictable. Like last week, I just had 3 auditions and an acting class, and that's a full week. And they're like, oh, that's a full week. And then they start talking about him in Creole. And he's like, I'm Haitian too, right? I speak this too. But I was like, that is a full week. People don't understand. 3 auditions in 1 week is a huge week. Even if those are all 3 small auditions, the amount of preparation that you were doing for that, like, and you still had time to make it to your class.
That part.
That's a full week, because what he leaves out is that, and we don't know what Simon's doing, right? But most actors obviously still also have to have a job while they're doing all
that
of that.
part. Yes. Yeah. Got to pay them bills somehow.
So I was like, hey, that is a full week. You leave Simon alone.
Right. And yeah, there's a lot that's left out of that, right? Because if you're not an actor or actor adjacent, then you don't understand. 3 auditions and an acting class. First off, if you're an actor that's getting 3 auditions a week, you are very fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting 3 or more, believe it or not, that's actually like you're doing pretty well. Most actors aren't getting even that. 2, each thing requires prep, right? Which you already kind of alluded to. 3 auditions, you've got to prep depending on what they're for. If they are all for like feature films, they are pages and pages, scenes and scenes that you've got to do. So it could be for a TV series, could be for a feature film, could be for commercials. All of them require different things. All of them are having different page lengths and different characters that you have to prepare. Most of those auditions, they want you to be off book. Mm-hmm. Some don't mind, but if you're a good actor, you try to get off book because that gives you more room to just kind of dial into your scene, right? But even if you can be on the page, you want to be as off the page as you can. You don't want to like be buried trying to read the scene. You want to be as familiar with the scene as possible so you can just like glance down, catch your line and keep it moving, right? These are not easy skills. These are not easy because they're not normal things. Kind of like we talked about last episode. So much of acting is not normal behavior, right? And you have to make it look like normal behavior. So there's that. And then acting class also has things that you have to prepare for class because you're going to class to perform, right?
Yeah.
You have been given assignments and it could be 1 or 2 assignments. You might have a certain assignment that you have to do that has to do with movement or voice or technique in some way. It may require you to do another self-tape. It might require you again to like learn a Shakespeare sonnet. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then you have to have that ready to bring into class. These are not easy, frivolous tasks. And like you said, that is on top of still needing to figure out how you're making your income, whatever that is. Simon, I would imagine, is probably going to be one of those people that has somewhat flexible jobs, I'm assuming, which is probably going to have him busy at nights or during the day. Who knows? But yeah, agree. This is all to say, I agree.
In Simon's case, unfortunately, it sounds like brother is not coming from a place of concern. Brother is coming from a place of, why do I have to do everything? Get an effing job so you can help out. Right.
Yeah.
Like he not coming from like, oh, I want you to be happy, but I want you to, but maybe this isn't the right path. It's like, quit goofing off. He even says goofing off later in the episode. Quit goofing off.
Yep.
So I don't have to keep paying for your stuff and mom don't have to keep paying for your stuff if you're an adult. Stop.
Yeah. Yeah. That was I'll come back to my own personal about that, but that was a hard thing to hear as someone who has had to rely on some financial assistance from parents here and there throughout my journey. I'll come back to my sentiments about that. But as far as what's his brother's name?
Eric, that's right.
As far as Eric goes, the thing that I had to like remind myself in that moment, because my knee-jerk reaction was like, you don't know, like, you don't know what it's like. But I also had to take a second to be like, okay, wait, Eric is the oldest brother. Eric may also just have a more pragmatic personality. And he's the oldest brother in a family where the father is deceased, right? Mm-hmm. So chances are he had to jump into that kind of surrogate parent role. He had to grow up very quickly. He had to kind of take on all these responsibilities. And so there is a part of me as an older sibling that can understand where it's like, I had to grow up and mature very quickly and you kind of get to just coast and be the free spirit. And that's not so fun because wouldn't I love to be the free spirit, even though that probably isn't his, his personality, but I guess just to litigate it, he's probably thinking like, oh, well, I wish I had the freedom to just kind of do what I want, but somebody has to be practical, right? Somebody has to help. Dad's not here. So this is a special circumstance where when you have a breadwinner and a parent who has passed away, and you have, you know, two male children who are now having to step into the gap of that, naturally the oldest one is going to feel more of that sense of responsibility to do what needs to be done. And so part of me is like, I get it. The funny thing is, in my case, it's a little bit of a reverse situation because I'm the oldest sibling. Mm-hmm. And I was very responsible for a very long time. And then it wasn't until I was heading into my 30s that I was like, no, I want to do what I want to do. I don't want to keep living for other people because I don't want to sit and live in regret and wonder if I could have done it or what would have happened if I had actually tried, right? I can understand the responsibility side of it because for most of my like young adult life coming out of college, it was more the focus was on doing what was expected of me. And then that shift occurred where it was like, no, I'm not going to just do what's expected of me. I'm going to do what I feel is best for me. But then in doing that, I kind of shifted into that quote younger brother role where then it felt like my two younger siblings were picking up slack while I was off in LA trying to pursue this career path. And it was very disorienting to be the older sibling having that experience when your younger siblings are kind of, you know, excelling in their fields in, again, practical jobs. What they don't tell you, whether you are older sibling or younger sibling, at least in my experience, is that you aren't sitting there like, man, my life is great. You feel a lot of the time because you want to be able to provide and help out and do those things. You just have gotten to a point where you're like, I can't do it that way. I can't do it your way. I need to find my way. But you're not sitting there like, man, sucks to be you, sucks to suck that you have to like do all this stuff. It's like you want to get to that point where you have success so that you can pitch in. It's just such a hard business and career path to pursue. So you feel guilty a lot. You feel guilty a ton. Yeah. So I could feel for Simon in that way, sitting there and you're just getting chewed out. And it's like, you think I want to be in this position? You think I like sitting here watching you be able to give my mom a renovated kitchen counter and again, something that I messed up and you're able to fix and that you're able to give her all these things that make her happy and I can't? No, I hate it. It's awful. But I also don't know how to do it any other, like I cannot make myself be someone that I'm not, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, that's kind of the normal, like expected, understandable, seeing it from Eric's perspective. However, we then have to layer in the power situation because part of it also is most definitely that my kid brother keeps messing up.
That's also
because
true.
He can't control his powers.
Right.
And so there was something that gets said. Maybe I'm going a little out of order, but it relates. There's something that gets said just before the explosion that it's in the build up to the argument where the fire does come up and, you know, because Trevor's trying to get more information about it. And he says, oh, no. This is when they first go in and mom wants to show Trevor, yes. Oh, look at my new kitchen. Yes. But he says, yeah, Eric still thinks it's my fault. And he's like, yeah, because what 13-year-old doesn't know how to use a stove? And at that point, the first time I watched it at that point, I was like, wait, I'm confused. Do they not know about his powers? Has he been hiding it along this whole time? But then, you know, as the show goes on and, you know, the episode goes on and you realize that, no, his family definitely knows. And rewatching it, I was like, this is something that he holds. Yeah. Eric has a grudge about it, whether it's he's jealous that he doesn't have the power himself, or he really is like angry that, you know,
these powers
that
are messing up their lives.
He can't figure it out. And he's just the weirdo that's messing everything up for them. I don't even know, speculating. I don't know how father died. We don't know how he died. Maybe there's something even related to that. And I'm like, this is clearly something they have argued about in front of other people before. And this sentence right here is code. Yeah. Like, it has nothing to do with not working out a stove. It's like, it's not my fault you can't figure out how to keep your together.
Yep. They have very, very deftly learned how to speak in code. So yeah, it's clear
Hmm.
that these are words that are saying one thing and meaning another. And you can see even the way that Simon kind of looks after it, like that lands a pretty hard punch for him. But
Yeah.
again, it's a building resentment throughout the episode before it finally unleashes. So
Yeah.
before we get to that point, the conversation that Martha, Simon's mom, and Trevor have in the kitchen was so lovely.
Yeah.
And I like that it gave exposition without being so pointed. And it just sounded so sincere as a mother, like just trying to, she also has not had a person to offload to, right? Or at least maybe she doesn't want to talk about her kids in front of other people or whatever, right? And so she sees this
Yeah.
opportunity with Trevor where it's like, oh, you're a mature person, first of all, obviously older than his kids. So you probably can relate a little bit. You've lived a little longer. You probably understand a little more things. You've taken an interest in my son and you've been so good to him. And I've not witnessed that. So this is opening a door for me to talk about what I probably haven't gotten to talk about much, which is I don't understand my son. And I try my
Hmm.
best with my son, but there have been moments where I realize I don't understand him as well as I think. And I'm just glad that somebody is there who does.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a hard thing for a parent to admit, right? Like you, I'm sure can attest to this as a parent, even though you still have
Hmm.
littles, but it's like, you want to be able to connect with you assume you're going to be able to connect with your children. They're your children, right?
Yeah.
You don't think there will ever be a point where maybe you can't relate to them or understand them. And when, you know, whenever children have it, you know, whether it's personality or whether it's biological factors or whatever it may be, when there does come a point where it's like, oh, I don't understand this about my child. And I hate that I don't understand. I thought I had a grip on things. I thought I knew what to do for him. And now I have to relinquish the fact that maybe I don't know entirely what to do for him or how to be there for him.
Yeah.
And she did it. She just did it so beautifully. It wasn't like this pity party where she's like, I don't know how to be there for my son. I don't know how to blah, blah, blah. It
Yeah.
was a moment where she got to see, he sees that I'm doing my best for him, but he's also letting me know that there's just some ways where, you know, it is
Yeah.
what it is. Right. And I just love the story that she told that they gave for her to execute as an actor and a character. In the midst of one emergent issue, another issue reveals itself, right? She's taking care of a skin knee. It seems very surface like, let me, you know,
Yeah.
kiss it, make it better. You've got this injury. I'm going to come to you as a mom like I would always do, right? And in the midst of that, she realizes something else, which is my kid is lonely
Hmm.
and I don't know how to fix that for him.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was something he enjoyed, but now I realize he doesn't want to be that way, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that tugs at your heartstrings.
Right.
Mm. But it was very beautifully
I also,
crafted. Hmm?
I was like, I also have thoughts about this related to your later point.
Oh, okay. We need to hurry up and get there then. Um,
I was like, I want to steal it from you. You put it in your notes. When I read your notes, I was like, oh yeah, yeah. But okay, yeah. One just funny part was I thought it was funny that Trevor was like digging through stuff, and I was like, just
oh
what do
gosh,
you
when he
expect
goes
to
into,
find right now? Because it's not like, oh, the fire happened yesterday. You might
yeah,
find some evidence. Like, what are you even looking for? I just think he needed a break. He's panicking. He needed a break. He went to the bathroom. He excused himself, go to the bathroom, and then was rummaging. Yeah,
he's like,
I
I don't
don't.
know,
Yeah,
maybe something will just, you know, random note about fire, journal entry. Today we had a fire. Like, I don't know what he thought.
yeah,
But like you said, this was years ago, decades ago that this happened. So
yeah,
the chances of finding anything connected to that is very slim. But it felt very last
yeah,
ditch effort. Like, I'm here, the room's right here,
yeah,
gotta go for broke, right? But that was silly.
yeah. I was. Oh, sorry. You said decades ago, and I was thinking about that too. I was like, did they ever say how old Simon
They
is?
haven't
How old do
said.
we think he's playing?
I I think that there was some stuff that I was reading, and I think that Yahya is playing this character closer to his actual age. So I think this
Which
character
is
is supposed to be like in his mid to late 30s, I think.
okay.
Um Now, again, they have not said that expressly, but there's some stuff that I read that made it seem like this character is maybe like 35,
Hmm,
37,
okay.
something like that. Definitely not in his 20s. But again, someone could put a deadline article out tomorrow and that could be totally wrong. But It seems like he's at least in his 30s. I would say very securely that he's at least in his 30s. And then I think there also is a little bit of a timestamp we get from the Doorman episode about when that incident.
We both have notes about that.
So I think that indicates that there has been at least, that at least puts him into his 30s, if not early 30s, mid 30s. Yeah. So where am I in my notes? Who doesn't ever make a friend? A friend. She says friend with a foi. I love that. I just loved the Haitian accent. It was wonderful. I don't know if it's correct or not, but I enjoyed the difference.
I was thinking that when you said that, I was like, I don't actually know if it's correct.
It may not be.
I don't know. I don't know enough.
But she tried. Who knows? Someone who's Haitian will be able to distinguish. So in this conversation that she's having with Trevor is also where I realized that how much Simon has clinged to the memory of his dad and how much his dad is just like this cemented fixture. And, that would be true of anyone who loses a parent. But clearly he had that with his dad even before. Like, we haven't gotten to, I can't say it. We haven't gotten to this yet, but we get a little more backstory where that's concerned. But even, have we gotten a scene with him and his dad? Yeah, the very first episode.
The very first is them at the movie theater watching Wonder Man.
So even from that flashback, it feels like this was a special thing him and his dad got to do. Mm-hmm. And it was a special way his dad was able to connect with Simon. And so you can just see all these little ways in which Simon has tried to like hold on to pieces of his dad. So I didn't realize until his mom said something when they were talking about the bike accident. And she was saying how after their dad passed, he insisted on riding the bike. And then you realize, that old bike that he's riding around in whichever episode it was, I don't remember if it was 1 or 2, that's his dad's bike. We will later see, spoiler alert, we will later see that the car that Simon is driving was his dad's car also. So it's just like, he is just trying to keep these totems around him because that's a grounding force to him. The other thing that came up, and I think this is probably where we want to get, or that you want to speak to. So I read a comment on a thread talking about the show, talking about Wonder Man. And this one person was speaking and they were like, I'm not saying that this is accurate or not, but as I watched this series, I felt like Simon was very autism coded. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I can't remember if she said that she was on the spectrum or her child was on the spectrum. I can't recall, but someone close, if not herself. And so, no, I think it was her. She was saying herself because she was like, as someone on the spectrum, it felt very familiar to me. A lot of his responses to things, like at first when I watched it, I thought maybe it was just because of the superpowers, but watching it back through that lens, it was like, oh, wait, no, like some of the ways that some of the ways his relationships are, him not being super talkative, the way he responds to certain incidents and things like that felt very autism coded to me. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that, I was like, huh. And so I didn't think of it that way. But when I went back and did some of the rewatches for the pod, I was like, I could see it. I could see it. Now, I'm not trying to diagnose anybody or, give any kind of formal whatever, but I could see where that could be intrinsic to Simon's character. Thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say, when I saw you had this note, I was like, yeah, I thought that in the first episode. I just didn't
Did you really?
put it as a note. Yeah. And then every time he doesn't respond to something that is socially weird, that's autism coded, right? Yep. It goes over his head that it's not following a social norm.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. So it might be to Trevor's advantage, right? That he doesn't get.
Honestly, you're right. He's very lucky
that he's doing.
Because even another abnormal moment, even when Simon caught him in his mom's room rummaging through his stuff. And he was just like, like Simon didn't even think that hard about it. He was just like, right. All right, well, let's go back to dinner.
Okay. Yeah, he's taking Trevor's excuses at face value, right? Which is another autistic trait. There's no subtext.
Right.
There's no, getting nonverbal cues. There's no getting that, like, I need direct communication from you. Say what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Don't assume.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no implying, right? So when Trevor said he's on the phone he stepped into the room to get his blood results from his doctor, he was like, okay, yeah.
No pushback.
There's no context clues to show that was a straight up lie, right? um, yeah. And then when you were talking about, just kind of recapping the conversation Martha has with Trevor, and I was like, yeah, that's, as someone who works with parents
Mm-hmm.
of children with autism, that is something I hear all the
Yeah.
time of like, I thought I understood my kid, and this thing made me realize I don't understand them, or I wish I could understand them
Yeah.
more, right?
Yeah.
That's so autism parent
Yeah.
coded.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crazy. And something I personally am going through now, and so I've talked about this openly. My son is definitely on the spectrum. He's in the process of getting his, and he's only a baby. So I'm sure people wish they could understand their babies more, but I also have already had those moments of like,
yeah,
ooh,
yeah.
I can't. I'm gonna try my best, but I can't fully understand,
And that was kind of the lovely thing about the way that story ended, where he was just like, Mommy, thank you for loving me. Because, like, I think kids, especially as they get older, maybe have some understanding that they're not quite the way everybody else is, but they can see when parents are trying, right? They can see when parents are doing their best. And I'm sure they're like, I know I'm different. I know I'm a lot. I know I can be difficult. But thank you for just being a mom to me anyway. And for them, or for them, and for parents, it's not even a question, right? Of course, I'm going to be that way for you. You're my child. Right. But I can see where a kid is like, wow, I'm who I am and I'm how I am. And my parent still loves me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You reminded me, I had a client years ago, who was very into numbers. And his mom was telling me about kind of the moment where it clicked that he realized that he's like, Mommy, I love numbers. And she's like, yeah, baby, I know you love numbers. And he's like, no, Mommy, like, I really love numbers. And she's like, okay, yeah. And he's like the other kids don't like
not the way I do.
As I do. Yeah. And he was just like, he didn't say thank you, but he was kind of thanking her for talking about like indulging him in all the numbers things. It's very similar. He's like, something is different here, but you, Mom, you got it. You're here for me. Thank you.
Because well, let's not go into this, but all this to say, like, kids are very perceptive, right?
Yeah.
Kids, to some degree, get it. Even if they can't always like verbalize it or extrapolate it, they sense it, right? And they'll communicate it in the best way that they possibly can. And again, as a parent, it's not your job to be able to step into everything they experience, but to be there for everything they experience, right? So, yeah. But all that to say, now I'm watching the rest of the series and I'm seeing it and I'm like,
I can see it.
I'm not going to say that's what it is, but I can see it. Yeah. Can definitely see it. It explains a lot. It explains a lot.
It does.
Okay. So at this point, we've gotten to the end of the scene. We've gotten through the unfortunate blow up after Simon's mom and Trevor talk. Did you have anything to add to that moment?
Yeah, I was just going to say, because by this point I was like, oh, no, they totally know about his thing, because I was waffling from the statement earlier if they knew about his powers or not. Eric is a punk because, like, I can understand him probably being like, I shouldn't have to tiptoe around this. But also, if if part of your beef with him is that he can't control it, and you know that, why are you pushing? Why are you pushing? And his mom is actively saying, like, don't upset him. Like, Eric, just stop. Don't upset him.
True.
Right?
She was trying to calm it down or diffuse it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Trying to diffuse the situation. And he was just like, no. I'm the problem for treating him like an adult. An adult with superpowers that he cannot
explosive
control. You're leaving out, right? This is not a normal situation. You can't treat it as such. It's not just an argument where if he has anger management issues, he might throw a plate and storm out.
Right.
He could
blow up your
kill
house.
You all. Right.
Dead.
Right. And they were like shielding themselves from like countertop shrapnel flying. Okay. Like someone could have been seriously injured because you couldn't just like walk away and take a breath.
Wouldn't that have been terrible? And I'm so glad they didn't choose to go that route. Wouldn't it have been terrible if like his mom had like taken a piece of like shrapnel in that incident? That would have been awful.
Yeah, and I think that's what made me wonder if how Dad died. Mm-hmm. Like, does it have something to do with that? Yeah, his powers.
Yeah, I hope it has nothing to do. I want it to have nothing to do with, because that would be such a burden to take on. But it would explain some things if that were the case. But my hope is that it won't have anything to do with Simon. I hope. Right. So yeah. But you're right. That was a very dumb thing to do. It was a very selfish thing to do also. It's like, no, I want to make my point and make you feel badly about yourself more than I want to keep everyone safe.
Yeah.
Did he think maybe this is one of those things that makes me think that, does Eric think that when Simon's ability to control it, like, is bullshit, right? Because he's approaching it like, oh, he wouldn't do it in front of this dude. He wouldn't do it with the new counters. He wouldn't do it now. And then it clearly happens. And then he was like, and then his response was, Simon, what's wrong with you? What were you thinking?
Right.
What was I wasn't.
Clearly this wasn't purposeful.
Right, exactly. Right. So he approaches it as if it's something that Simon actually could control, but chooses not to, right? Or picks and chooses when he wants to have these outbursts. That feels very like jealous older brother. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, you're just doing this for attention.
Yeah, he's
jealous. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about this when we get to the finale.
Yeah.
Because I think there's more to come with Eric.
Yeah.
Boo.
So we're out of here. The kitchen has the nice new kitchen. Well, at least the island countertop is
already
gone.
Destroyed. The island. But Mama always wanted an island, so Eric put in an island, and it's gone.
Done. And so now they have awkwardly left the party on the worst note, and they're having the drive back. And, Simon confesses, like, at this point, it's like, well, cat's out of the bag. Now, and he's just going to start copping to stuff. Because at this point, it's just stream of consciousness, right? Like, Trevor's there, but he's not there. And Simon's just clearly in his feelings about, like, I'm clearly not in control of anything. And what am I doing? And why am I doing any of this? And I'm just making everyone's life difficult, right? And again, so much of this is coded in the superpower thing, but I think it also, again, on a normal basis, could trek back to just when you are a creative pursuing, that type of career and nothing's stable and you're just making everyone's life hard, right? Or it seems like it, right? Then you just start internalizing a lot of that and get to that point that Simon did, where it's just like, maybe I just need to stop thinking this is going to happen for me. When he has his whole little monologue, I was like, I've had every single thought this man is saying, right? Did I write all of it? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay.
You did.
This was the quote exactly. Trevor, very lovely, quotes like a hymn that he says his mom used to say to him. And Simon's response is like, man, Trevor, that's really nice and all. That's really lovely. He's like, but I don't need comforting. I need a break. All I see is a parade of talentless fools getting job after job and their dumb faces on deadline every day. And maybe it's time for me to admit that it's never going to be me. So, man, I sat there with my little chest heaving like, because it's true. So I can't tell you. I will speak for myself. I don't know every actor's situation, but I know it is a common thing for many actors, even the ones that you now know and love, to have gotten to this point where they are like, maybe I'm not the person that gets this dream. Maybe I don't get to be the person who gets to live this out. Many actors have walked away from this industry, not because they don't want it, but because it just gets so difficult, right, to keep going in the midst of it. And again, depending on what your setup is, a lot of the extraneous noise around it or internal noise, depending on the type of person you are, at a certain point, it's just like your peace is so disrupted that it's just like, I don't know. I don't know if I can. The only thing that's going to fix this is to get the thing. And if that's not coming, I don't think I can keep going. Right.
Yeah.
And I've definitely had this breaking point.
Yeah.
And I'm still sitting in that breaking point, if I'm being 100% honest. And for me, it was a variety of different things. But yeah, you do just get to a point where you're just kind of like, I don't know. Is it? I've been at this for how long now? I think he even maybe said, or maybe it comes later, that he says like how long he's kind of been like auditioning, hustling, whatever. But there aren't many careers where you have to grind so hard to get so little in return. It's tough. It's tough. Now, lucky for him, he gets a resolution to that angst pretty quickly. We get to see that they pull over in the car. Trevor does the right thing by getting rid of the SD card in his recording device because he realizes, like, I can't do this to this dude. This isn't the way, right? And you think maybe that's going to be the end of it. And then he walks back. Simon looks like he's seen a ghost. And then you find out that it's Janelle. And Janelle has called because she's looking for Simon and Trevor to tell both of them that they have received callbacks for Wonder Man. And it'll be a callback with the director. So I was like, well, that ended quickly. Like his suffering got put out pretty quickly. That does not happen for most people.
Well, I was going to say that, you know, you mentioned like even your favorite actors, right, go through that point. And I was like, that what happens to Simon is a lot of people's story where you hear them saying, I almost quit. I almost quit. Right. I almost quit. And then I got this big break. Right. It's right then, right before.
Yep.
They want the takeaway to be like, see,
it can happen.
It can happen at any time. But like, what percentage of people make it that long?
And that's
like, you know,
that's the thing. That's the part that gets left out is for every 5 people that waited it out long enough and finally got their thing or got that moment, there are like literally 1,000 times that many who had to go for various different reasons. It isn't even always like the mental preparedness of it. Sometimes it's just practically life. Stuff happens in your family, financial issues. You lost a job, whatever. Like, other stuff happens, and this industry isn't the most stable one that you can just wait it out, right? People have to go deal with other aspects of life. And this is also an industry that demands you kind of put your life on hold for it, right? Like if we got into the ins and outs of like auditioning for actors and how they expect you to be ready at a moment's notice to stop whatever you're doing, put yourself on tape or run to the audition room or whatever, and the rest of life doesn't exist. Or as soon as we offer you a job, better be ready. Whatever job you have, you better be ready to walk away from it so you can come pick up this job, right? Your life has to be surrendered almost entirely. And for some people who leave the industry, part of it is that they realize, I don't want my whole life to just be this.
Yeah.
I want to have other aspects of my life I can enjoy. And I've realized that I've put so many years of my life on hold to just focus in on this because that's what the demand required. I didn't get to date. I didn't get to have relationships. I didn't get to have kids. I didn't get to be social all that much. I spent so much of my time, effort, and energy focused on trying to be ready when the call came, right? Not knowing when the call would come. And that can be difficult for people who, again, if you want to have a full, well-rounded life, this may not be the career for you. Just stating facts. But anyway, Simon didn't have to worry about that. He got his big break and all is well. Yay, the end.
Yay, Simon.
Not gonna lie. I knew it was coming, but I also was kind of like, well, because after that big mournful, it's like he didn't even have to sit in that for like a few hours. Not that I want him to be tormented by that.
No.
But at the same time, one can also say that he's probably been in this place before and had to just pick up the pieces and move forward at a different point in time. And this time it just happened to work out. So rather than it being an immediate solve, it's like, oh, this is maybe that thing we were talking about where it's the break we're seeing, but it's after years and years of grinding.
Yeah.
So that's Pacoima.
Yeah, that's
And
Pacoima.
now
You want to do
we get to
Doorman?
talk about Doorman.
Yay! This episode.
All right, guys. Episode 4, Doorman. Here's our summary. So, we make a complete pivot on this episode. This is a film noir style episode that tells the story of DeMarr Doorman Davis. We open with DeMarr working as a literal doorman at the Wilcox nightclub in Los Angeles. And one night while he's taking out the trash, he encounters a literally toxic goop coming out of one of the dumpsters. And he touches it. Anyway, it transports him. It transports him to a door-filled dimension, and it's pretty trippy. This trip gives him the ability to now pass through solid matter and for solid objects to pass through him. Crazy. So he discovers that this includes people. People can be inside him. One night there's a fire at the club and he manages to save the patrons from that fire, including Josh Gad. A grateful Josh Gad offers DeMarr a job with him to be like a bodyguard, or I don't really know. It doesn't matter.
Just assistant.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Assistant.
Just like a catch-all assistant. But that job quickly leads to him getting a co-starring role in a heist film that Josh Gad is doing called Cash Grab. And they are able to utilize his powers as a key component to the storyline. So during filming on the film's sequel, DeMarr kind of loses touch with reality a bit and thus loses control over his powers. And while Josh Gad is attempting to pass through him in the climactic scene of Cash Grab 2, he disappears into DeMarr, lost in the void of DeMarr's door body. So DeMarr is then placed in DODC custody, and we get the Doorman Act, which is a whole thing for actors. Sorry, the Doorman Clause. And this clause bans superpowered individuals from working in the entertainment industry. And that, as far as we know, is the end of Josh Gad in the MCU. Or is it? Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. TBD. But that is the summary in a nutshell of Doorman. All right, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. So I put this at my very last note, but I'll start with it. So I saw the social media posts, very good marketing. I saw the social media post saying Josh Gad is presumed dead. And I was like, oh no, what happened? Josh Gad is missing. And it was on a day where a lot was going on. So I saw it. I had a moment of, oh no. And then I kept scrolling. I didn't like dig to find any other articles and luckily didn't dig to see like spoiler alerts in the spoilers in the comments. And then when the episode started, I was like, Josh Gad, what a coincidence. And then once DeMarr got his powers, I was like, oh no, Josh Gad isn't really missing.
I've been had.
Josh Gad is missing in the MCU. But I was like, oh, I loved it. So I knew it was a spoiler once I realized, but not too far in advance to ruin it. Like in the moment, I was like, at some point in this episode, this man is going to get lost in this man's body. And this was so good. This is so good. I'm so glad I saw this post and it didn't get messed up for me.
Oh, excuse me. I wish I'd seen that. I missed that entirely. So I didn't have that to look forward to. But that's pretty funny that you were like, oh no, I just saw a thing about him being missing.
Right. And then, of course, afterwards, then I started seeing them more and reading the comments. And it's like half of the people being like, he's not gone. He's just in Doorman. And then the other half of the comments being like, oh my God, why would they say he's dead already? Like, people not understanding.
Yeah, it's like, we haven't found him.
Being like, what happened? How did he go missing? What are the circumstances?
Oh, no. That is good marketing, though. Hey, that's engagement. That's good engagement.
So good.
Oh my gosh. So the opening scene we get at the club, we have Josh Gad, aka J Gad, roll up with his crew. So this is another point where I tried to kind of like get a timestamp on things, right?
Mhm.
Because I don't think I wrote my notes in order. I'm noticing that now. But
You did. Oh, they're not in order, but I see your note
yeah.
and then I have a note to add to it because I saw yours.
So when he's talking to DeMarr and he mentions the song Radioactive and he says like, oh, this is the most important song to happen in the last 3 years, something like that, right? So I was, and then then we also get the later scene where he's singing Frozen in the club to a club remix from the DJ. So it's like, okay, these have to be in similar time frames. So apparently Radioactive charted in 2012 and kind of went through 2013 as like a top charting song. And then Frozen was also in 2013. So we could be anywhere from 2013 to 2015, right? Depending on how he meant the thing with the 3 years thing, right?
When he does go missing, Mario Lopez in his little Entertainment Tonight, whatever, makes a reference to Beauty and the Beast because he played
that's right. He played LeFou.
LeFou. And that came out in 2017. So by the time they're filming
Cash Grab 2. Okay, that makes sense.
And he goes missing, it's after 2017 at least, because that movie has come out for him to make a Beauty and the Beast and Gaston reference in the news story about him being missing. Okay. So I was like, oh, I saw you got dates. I got dates.
So then that helps. So then if it's about that point, so if it's 2017-ish, then we have had the Doorman clause for at least the last like 9 years, basically. If this is present day.
If it's present day.
But then also when they shot it wouldn't have been 2026. So I guess the whole thing with the MCU timeline stuff is hard to track because they'll pull referential things from our actual timeline, but then we have to take into account the blip. We have to take into account this and that and whatever, all the timey-wimey stuff. So it's hard to quite pinpoint it.
It's hard.
But I would say give or take 5 to 8 years of this Doorman clause being a thing.
Yeah.
But backing it up, I couldn't tell at first when they first had the scene with Josh Gad rolling up to the club if he was sincere with DeMarr or not. It felt very douchey actor thing of like, yeah, man, come have a drink with us, man. When you get, when it loosens up out here, it's like, it's never going to loosen up. He's a doorman. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell if it was like a sincere relationship or if it was just a thing that he says. So when he hired him later, I was like, oh, I guess he did really sincerely like the guy. I mean, he has powers too, but like also it seems like he takes care of him pretty well. So it can't just be like a one-sided thing. He still acts like a very douchey version of himself in this.
He does.
In this iteration of Josh Gad. But when they have him singing his Frozen remix in the club.
Oh my God. I was like, this is like, I feel like every like parent / person who works with children's nightmare is to go to the club and then have to listen to a children's song that you have already been made to listen to 1,000 times against your will.
That, you know what? I didn't even think about that because when
I
Frozen...
was like, and you know what? It's not Let It Go, but we've heard all. You've heard it all. You were kids at the same time too. We've heard this album.
It was
way more times than we need to.
Demand. And the kids love Olaf. So yeah.
Oh, they love Olaf.
You're going to hear In Summer quite a few times. Quite a few.
Jesus.
I didn't even think about that until just now when you said it's like, oh yeah, when Frozen 1 came out, God, that's all you heard. All you heard.
Like if I had been in a club,
you would have left.
I would have been like, oh my God, cool. That's Josh Gad. And then he starts singing In Summer. Oh, bye. It's time to go. We going someplace else. Are you kidding me?
I don't have to listen to this. I can hear this.
How sad this is your whole identity, sir.
It is funny that they made that an attribute of this version of Josh Gad's character, right? Like that this clearly defined him as an actor. It's like you are Olaf and that's your whole personality is Frozen. And, I'm sure that's not him in real life, but it is funny that and I love that Josh Gad is willing to make fun of himself in that way. And not take it seriously at all. So we have that. The fire happens at the club. Actually, hold on. Let me back it up. Let me back it up.
Before that. So after the first time we see him, he gets told to take out the trash. And then this man encounters the goo coming out of dumpster that is labeled Roxxon, which if you're MCU fans, you may know. We'll get into that before we go deep in the deep dive of the goo and the Roxxon. And then it kind of sucks him in. And when he first goes into the other dimension, before the doors appear, it's pitch black. And I said, the Upside Down. Nope, wrong property. But it didn't look exactly like whenever they're doing 11th century, the times where she's doing like the sensory deprivation to try to
find
reach,
people. Yeah.
And it's just her in her, like if they have her in the bathtub, it's just her in the bathtub in the black. And there's some like reflection a little bit, but that's it. Yeah. At first, that's what it looked like. And I was like, oh, what? No, what am I watching? I'm tired. I'm just confusing it. And then the doors started appearing and I was like, what is this? But that was my first reaction. I was like, the Upside Down.
That's
I'm wrong.
really funny.
It's not related.
I saw several people, and I didn't understand it because, again, I was like, I don't know what this show is about to be. But I saw several people early on in the promotion of Wonder Man talk about how there might be a connection to the void, the MCU void that we get in Loki and Deadpool Wolverine. And so I think a lot of people thought that was going to be how the Doorman thing was going to connect. But again, we'll talk about what that might actually be. I just need you to confirm this for me. Do you not think that the actor Byron Bowers looks a little bit like Quentin Brunson's brother?
Yeah, I read that. I was like, oh yeah, they could be related. Yeah, they could play. Put him on Abbott.
Anyway, you've got opportunities, Byron.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk Roxxon. Let's back it up first and say, would you touch black goo coming out of a dumpster?
No. As soon as he started bending down, I said, don't touch it. What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't touch it. I said,
sir, no. What would have sold that moment for me a little bit more? Because I just, in my mind, I was like, no black person in their right mind would touch goo coming out of a trash can. Unless, one, he dropped his phone in it. Might believe that. Two, if what would have sold it for me is if there were voices he could hear from it, like something that's entrancing him. That would have sold that moment a little more for me. And MCU has done that in other things where like there's little voices from the other dimensions coming out. So I was like, that would have made me believe that a little more. And not that it's like it was a linchpin point for me, but I just was like, there's no way he would just touch it. What?
Yeah. Why?
No, you would have just threw your trash away and been like, I don't know what that is. Time to go. And kept it moving. But if something were calling from that dimension, I could maybe see him like reaching out and then it like kind of pulling him or whatever the case may be. I'd believe it more if that were just a little sound cue.
Yeah. And also to tie it to the other things, because we're talking about it. So we can surmise from the Roxxon on the dumpster, right, that this is what has come to be called Dark Force. Starts out, it's first mentioned as Zero Matter. Timeline wise, it first appears in Agent Carter, right? As Zero Matter. And I just lost the name of the company, but the company is studying it, and that later then becomes Roxxon and other things, right? So that's where the connection is. But we have seen this many times, and it has kind of a wispy black, like smoky thing coming from it. So that even too might have made it if like that had come towards him and seemed to have kind of entranced him.
There needed to be something more than just goo on the ground. So sparkly goo on the ground.
Why you just touch a goo? That's disgusting.
So like you said, the Roxxon thing, which I think is a fun little Easter egg. I didn't realize how much it was popping up and stuff until they showed that dumpster, and I was like, wait, I've seen this. And then I started thinking about the places I'd seen it, and then when you mentioned Agent Carter, because I haven't seen all of Agent Carter, I should finish that. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh, was it Agent Carter too? And then I looked it up and was like, it's been in a lot of stuff actually. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay,
How much of these have you seen? Because I was like, oh,
Agents of
I don't know
Shield,
all of
I've
it.
seen. I saw some of Cloak and Dagger, but I didn't finish it. Loki, I've seen, and then Iron Man 3. So that's and Runaways. So I haven't seen She
See,
Hulk, and
I haven't. I've seen some of Agents of Shield. You got to watch She-Hulk. It's overhated. It's so overhated.
I
It's a fun show. It's comicky because it's supposed
I
to be
think I could
comicky, and
maybe
that's all
come
I'll
back
say
to
about
it
that.
now. I think at the time I was so in the throes of everything needs to connectness that She-Hulk felt like such a deviation that I was like, I don't want to see this. So
Hmm.
maybe now that everything MCU for me is just out the window, I could probably watch it and just be like,
Yeah.
okay, it
Well, and see, for me, once I watched it, I was like, okay, this is clearly just maybe this is just more connected to the new Daredevil, which I still haven't watched.
yeah,
So I don't recall this coming up, the gooey stuff, Dark Force coming up
the
in,
original
but maybe it's
Daredevil.
just been too long since I've watched the original
I
Daredevil.
didn't
So I
watch
don't know
it,
if
so I
it's
don't know.
just in
Yeah.
the newest one. You didn't watch the originals?
Mm-mm. Daredevil was the only one
Uh,
of the what was their group called?
the Netflix
Yeah.
ones, the
But what was their group called? I literally just had this conversation with someone. What were they called? Anyway, uh
yes, I know what you're talking about
Daredevil was the
with
only
Luke Cage
series out of
and
those.
Daredevil
Hmm.
and yeah,
So
Jessica
I
Jones,
did
all of
watch
that.
Jessica Jones. That was my entry into that set. Because I think by
Okay.
that point there had already been 2 seasons of Daredevil, and I was just kind of like, I don't know. If I catch it, I catch it. So Jessica Jones I got into, and then Luke Cage, and then unfortunately Iron Fist, and then the Defenders. That's what they were, the Defenders. And then I
The
watched the
Defenders,
Defenders.
yes, yes, yeah. Yeah, I like all of them except for Iron
Yeah.
Fist. Um, I had never even heard of Cloak and Dagger, and then like again for the I was like, let me at least watch a recap, and then I realized, oh, Freeform. That's why I didn't. I had never even heard of it.
I
And there's
only,
2 seasons of it,
mhm.
and I was like, what?
I think I only checked it out because I feel like so I got very big into Runaways. I really loved Runaways. I was very on like the ABC Hulu version of Marvel when they were doing the TV series. So I watched all of Agents of
Mm,
S.H.I.E.L.D. And then I got into Runaways when they announced it on Hulu. And then I think they make a reference to Cloak and Dagger in Runaways. And so I was kind of like, oh, I've
okay,
heard of this show. And I think I maybe checked out the first 2 episodes. It didn't quite grab me. So, but I do know that that's probably the biggest appearance of
that's where it's
Roxxon.
mentioned the
Yeah.
most. Yeah.
Because that is how Cloak and Dagger, their characters, by the way, get their powers are from Roxxon. So yeah, so I didn't realize how much it has made an appearance. And like even having watched Loki, it took me a second to be like, wait, when was it in Loki? I had to kind of like trace it back. Because again, it wasn't like a front and center thing, but it's just like, oh, you've probably seen it in the background here and you've seen it here. So it's clearly a
Hmm.
very prominent entity, company, corporation, etc. in the Marvel Comics universe, and they're definitely trying to pull it out, I think, a bit more into the MCU. But just so you guys know, we kind of talked a little bit about Roxxon, what Callie said about its origins in Agent Carter. But basically, they make it seem like they're mining energy, like they say they're an energy company, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
really, what they are sourcing is dark force matter and light force matter, which is where all the magic stuff comes from. So Roxxon is essentially mining this stuff because they are trying to figure out ways to utilize it, obviously for nefarious
Hmm.
purposes or, capitalistic purposes, whatever, right? They're trying to harness it so they can sell it, make weapons, I'm sure, do whatever. Um, but that is essentially what DeMarr has come into contact with is the dark force energy.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that would explain now reading the definition why the door thing maybe isn't so reliable or
Right.
consistently reliable, or there can be ways in which it's going to be unwieldy, right?
Yeah. It also seems like it's painful every time he does it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't imagine it'd be very comfortable having a person go through you. So it's interesting to see how, and we'll get to as we get further down, it's interesting to see how clearly it's not just the actual implementation of it, but having this power is clearly taking a toll on him throughout
Hmm.
his journey. Um, and it's
Yeah.
being combined with the social pressures of this
Right.
industry and the fame stuff.
Yeah. And part of what the pieces that I do remember about dark matter is depending on who is using it and wielding it, you can take life forces from people, right? With it. And one thing I did notice the first time, what I noticed rewatching it, was when he first gets into the goo and with the doors, silence, nothing coming out of the doors. When he gets into the doors the next time,
voices.
each door is now filled with all of these voices from all of his different experiences. And I'm wondering if it's all the people that have gone through him or touched him or whatever.
A good catch.
He's getting remnants of them each time it happens.
I'm almost positive that's probably exactly what they intended by that. I didn't even notice that, but now that you're saying, I was like, oh, you're right. That first door scene, it was completely silent. It was just him that you heard.
Yeah. And then later on, he's like tormented by everything that's been going on. So now he's
just filled up with a bunch of people's entities. Ugh. Yeah. So, that's got to be terrible. Things you don't think about, like, oh, people are just passing through me and leaving little bits of themselves as they go. Yay.
Yay.
So he gets his powers. Have a little funny scene with him and the dog. That poor dog. Oh, that means maybe part of his dog. There's a barking dog somewhere in there too.
Yeah, I wonder if there's some barking in that scene later on, maybe.
That's tragic. So he's realizing, okay, things can pass through me. I can pass through things. This is weird. But then I guess he just decides, listen, I'm just going to live my life. I've just got this weird thing now, I guess, and I'm just going to go to work.
Well, he goes back to look for the dumpster. True. Like that's going to help something, and the dumpster is missing. But it's like, what were you going to do if it was there?
Maybe he could have taken a sample of the goo to be like, what is this?
To where? He's a doorman.
I don't know. I don't know.
You know what I mean?
To the doctor, maybe? I don't know.
Is it going to call Roxanne or something, maybe?
If you have a problem, maybe they had a number on the dumpster. Have a question, maybe. Call Roxanne. They probably don't. They don't want anyone to call them. So, that was actually going back to that with the dumpster being gone. A lot of people were wondering, did Roxanne come take the dumpster, or did the goo create a vortex that just sucked the dumpster into the dark force dimension? And that's why it just disappeared.
I don't know, because there's no hole there, but I guess it could suck something in and then close up.
That's true. I don't know. Yeah, because I think a lot of people were like, how would Roxanne have known it, or come take their dumpster, or why was the dumpster there? Did it get transported by the goo to there and get retransported somewhere else? What's with the dumpster? I mean, it's not the most urgent question, but I just thought that was funny. I was like, oh yeah, I don't know. Because I just assumed Roxanne must have been like, whoops, we noticed there's goo coming out. Let's get rid of it. But it could have just disappeared on its own. Who's to say?
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
DeMarr just goes to work. We have another night of doormanning at the club. Josh Gad makes his triumphant return, and this is when we get the Frozen remix. They made mention of this, so they definitely dropped the hint that, one, there have been issues with the door sticking.
The front door.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think they also made mention of the overheating or something with the electrical something, right?
Yeah, and then that they were at capacity not to let anybody in, or they were knocking the door on the fire code.
So guess what? Fire. And now everybody's stuck. And him and the lady are just banging on the door. That's going to do anything. I mean, I guess it could have maybe unstuck itself, but y'all know this has been a problem. So chances are it probably won't. And that's when DeMarr realizes, wait, I can be the solution. He passes through the door and then gets everyone to pass through him. Josh Gad is the first brave person to attempt this. It's a very funny scene.
When he pokes his head back in to be like, it's safe, y'all, come out.
Guys, it's true. Come on.
Crazy. I was like, oh, this is a mess.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure he had so much fun with that. So everybody gets out. DeMarr is now on the news. He's a local hero. It's great, 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 right? He's still being treated somewhat normally. So clearly there isn't, I mean, it's the MCU, so people are understanding that there are superpowered people in the world, but I guess no one's rushing him in his life to be like, oh my gosh, he's still able to live normally, exist normally. He's very content on just being a doorman and continuing to do that for the rest of his life. And then Josh Gad approaches him to be like, hey, man, why don't you come work for me? And he's like, no, man, I'm straight. And he's like, I will pay you $200K a month. And he was like, yeah, no, I'm gone.
A
Or
year.
200K a year. Yeah, sorry.
I was like,
I caught it afterwards. I was like, that's not right. That's crazy. So he leaves, yeah, leaves the doorman and just becomes the assistant to Josh Gad. And he's seeming, again, very content. Like the funny thing about DeMarr, and I saw someone mention this in a write-up where they tried to say that he was ambitionless. And I guess that is true, but I think they made it to seem like a negative thing. Whereas I just kind of always saw DeMarr as just being very content. Like, there are just some people that are like, I don't need to have this big whirlwind of a life. I'm okay with just being a regular guy who makes a good living, gets to have relationships and go home at the end of the day. Like, I don't need to have this whirlwind type of life, right? So he is in Hollywood, and I think the owner of the club makes this mention to him when they have a conversation where like, he's one of the few people in this city that just seems to be content with just being okay, right? That doesn't have this driving desire to be famous or to be a big actor or to be something else, right? So I just saw it as, this is just a guy who, he's like, I don't need a lot. I'm very happy as is. I have a very fulfilling life. I'm happy to just be a working man. That's it.
he's a people person and he has a people person job. He's at the doorman.
Exactly.
He's chewing the fat with all different kinds of people and he enjoys
Right.
it.
And you even see that transfer over when he becomes Josh Gad's assistant, right? Like he's over here getting him his special plate. Like, oh, I know that he likes the little pickles and the this and the that. And he seems very content to just be like, hey man, I hooked you up. I got you this. What's up, brother? And just being on set and just chilling. And I've found it so sad what we see happen to him later, right? Because, and we'll get into it when we get there, like, this is a story for a lot of people who get the 15 minutes of fame type fame, right?
Yeah.
Whether they are looking for it or not. It's a very high and a very low thing, right? So if you're a normal person, just living a normal life, and you come into fame, it's going to rock your world, right? So he's very content to just be Josh's assistant. He loves his job. He's getting paid hella good now. I'd be very happy too. Ish. I don't know if I'd want to be anybody's assistant, but like for 200K, I don't know. I can figure it out, right? So you can make that work. And mostly he just gets to be on set and, like you said, socialize and be a people person. And everyone seems to be on good terms with him. Everybody knows DeMarr. Everyone likes DeMarr. And Josh Gad, not in a malicious way, brings him into this world, right? He sees an opportunity with his powers, obviously something that works to his advantage as well. And he's like, say, man, come be in this movie. People like you. You know, You don't have to be an actor. I'm not a good actor. You don't have to be a good actor. That's never stopped me. And so he convinces him, because DeMarr at first is like, I'd actually rather not, right? I'm more of a behind the scenes person. And Josh Gad convinces him and he's like, all you have to do is show up and be you. And that's that. As soon as they showed the premiere and they gave him a catchphrase, I said, uh-oh. Yeah. So as soon as he was like, ding dong, so silly. That's when I knew, this is going to be a sad tale. This isn't going to go well. So for a while, it's seeming great. They do the movie premiere. Much like Josh Gad says, he has a very enigmatic personality. Everybody loves him. Everybody's like, DeMarr, we love DeMarr Davis. Doorman, ding dong, right? He's making talk show appearances now. He's doing commercials for things. He's got brand deals. He's a big deal, right? So the again, that high comes quick and fast, and it's just a straight incline, right? And you don't have enough time to even really catch your breath and gain your bearings, right? You're just on this uphill trajectory, and it seems like there's no way you could fail, right? But then you fail. I'm trying to think if there's anything in his little montage that I wanted to point out.
When he was reading the comments, I was like, don't read the comments, DeMarr. Don't read the comments.
You know what I think got to me? So when we see, again, that high happen, and then we see it start to come back on him, where now he's been so saturated in pop culture, in popular media, that now people are getting sick of him. So this is the downside of that 15 minutes of fame. And this is what I wanted to go into, right? Which is like, there's a part of this industry, and it's kind of always been there, more so now that we have social media, where you can get accidentally famous It used to be that people could get accidentally famous from being on the news and saying something crazy. Or prior to that, it might have been accidentally you get famous because, I don't know, maybe you get written up in a magazine. I don't know. I don't know what happened with people who got accidentally famous before. It has mostly been a thing that has come about since visual media, right? Sometimes it even is just the one hit wonder effect, right? Something just pops off. Something catches a hook in popular culture and people latch onto it. And then because it's such a thing, everyone's pushing you to lean into that hard. You get agents, you get publicists, you get managers, whatever, and they're all like, lean into the thing, lean into the catchphrase, lean into the this, capitalize on your moment. This is when you're hot, strike while the iron's hot, all those things, right? But there's always going to be a point where it's like, and now that's done. You don't know how long it's going to last, but it will not last. It's not sustainable. And I always feel bad. And this situation with DeMarr just reminded me, for these people that get these 15 minutes of fame, because for a while they're riding this high that I'm sure is incredible, right? You go from complete obscurity to just being everywhere in media. People are calling you up, you're getting deals, you're getting asked to do this, that, and the other. And then you'll never know when it comes, but at a certain point, people are going to be like, we're sick of seeing this person. We're tired of hearing this thing. The catchphrase is old, and less you're getting calls, and less you're being offered things, and more of your deals are getting pulled, much like what happened to DeMarr. And then you just go back to obscurity. But now you got to go back to obscurity, having experienced the highest high of fame and money and exposure, a life that you never even saw for yourself. And now you got to go back to the life you had before. That's terrible.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people manage it well.
Not even, and I was going to say, and not even back to the life you had before, if it's something like
True.
DeMarr's case, where he's like, he can't go back to being a doorman, and he was happy doing that. And now, even if he got to be able to do that in a place where like he wouldn't be like recognized and asked about it, he probably wouldn't be satisfied with it.
No. And you now, again, because you've been everywhere, people are probably going to be up, oh, aren't you that doorman guy? Oh, it's the doorman dude. Oh man, I'm kind of done with that. You know what it reminds me of? That right there just reminded me of, do you remember the social media thing that went out about, what's the actor's name? The guy that played on Cosby Show. What was his name? Jeffrey Owens. Someone ran into him. He was working at Trader Joe's.
Oh,
and someone saw him there and was like, I cannot believe the guy who played Elvin on the most popular TV show of the 80s and 90s is working at Trader Joe's. This isn't right. And then it blew up into this whole big thing where everybody was just feeling so sad for this man. And he was like, I actually love my job at Trader Joe's. I had a great experience on Cosby. It was one of the highlights of my life, but I'm doing great here. It wasn't until everybody told me I should have a problem with this that it felt like a problem, right? You know, like I'm content. I'm making money. I have a good career. I'm supporting my family. You know, acting was a thing I did. It's not what I'm doing now, but it was just like, it's funny how all these other people came into this man's life and was like, you should feel bad about this. And so to your
people in social media.
So to your point, we wouldn't even be able to just go back to doing a normal job because somebody's going to come and be like, well, don't you want to be doorman again? Or don't you want to be in Cash Grab 5 or whatever? Like, and it's like, I'm okay, guys. I'm good. I've made my peace. And now you're stirring up stuff. It's like, you'll never just be able to move past that. So there's a lot of people for which that has been the case. Again, actor, non-actor, famous, not famous, or like, you know, long time famous or not famous. So, and then it also made me think of the Hawktua girl, and how she was all the rage 2 years ago, right? All the rage.
Has it been that long?
Or was it last year? I think it was at least 2024.
I don't know. It's a time warp situation with like TikTok trends all the time. I'm always like, wait, how long ago was that?
Yeah, mid 2024.
Okay.
So she immediately, you know, is doing that. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're just going to capitalize on merch and try to make this a thing. She just did a street interview with some rando and then became this all encompassing thing, right? And then it went from that. The moment I heard that she got a podcast deal, I don't remember if it was with iHeartRadio or Wondery or who it was, some big media company. And when she started, was the number one podcast in America over like Joe Rogan and all these other people. And I was just like, how? Ow. And let me tell you something. I had to listen because I was like, well, I mean, I need to know this girl is not a good podcaster. It was not very good. But again, people just give you stuff because you are the moment and people want to try to capitalize and piggyback off of your moment. But then I realized when I thought of her for this episode, I was like, what happened to her? I know the last thing I knew was that she got the podcast and that it was trending very high for a bit. But then I feel like I heard that there was a drop off, and there was, for various different reasons. But essentially, she still has the podcast. It's not doing the numbers that it was. She still has a fairly high social media following, but clearly it's, again, not doing the volume, and it's not as in, the trending spaces as it once was. I actually went and looked up her page, and she's mostly into like, I don't want to say animal advocacy, but she works for like animal nonprofits. She talks about that a lot. It otherwise just looks like any other random girl's page. I don't know. Anyway, so like all this to say.
Yeah, I see like Paws Across America.
Yeah.
She's making some candles.
Yeah.
And in this day of like the social media influencer situation, you can make it work. It makes me think of the, how people in the industry talk about like, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Right. And so some people are able to take this moment and from jump diversify, be like, if you got here because of this funny thing, here's the rest of my content. Here's what I've actually been doing and actually trying to do. But a lot of times it just happens to someone who is not trying to do
and not ready for it.
So then they don't know what to do with the moment.
Right. So that goes back to in the episode when Doorman's having that conversation with, I think, his manager or publicist. And he was like, Bridget.
The guy. Oh, no, I get what you mean. The guy.
And he was like, how it goes. The money comes in and you got to know how to manage it or it's all just going to go away. And he was like,
your check isn't, you don't have that money until the check is in your hand. He's like, no, you didn't.
He's like, no one ever told me that. And he's like, no, we didn't. And that just makes me think again of so many people in entertainment of a variety of walks who come into that mass amount of wealth and attention and don't know what to do with it and don't know how to diversify and don't know how to manage it and aren't thinking of it being short term. And then just as quickly as it came in, it's gone, for various different reasons. And so when they got to that moment where he's talking to him, I was like, that sucks. It's so unfair. That happens to so many people. And like, I'm not opposed to people getting their 15 minutes of fame, even though that says something more about our culture and our society than it does like these folks, right? It's just the fact that these people will just get left high and dry as soon as they're done with their disposed of, right? In the midst of doing research for this, I started looking up other different people who got famous for TikToks or reels or YouTube videos or again, news reports. Like, the guy that came up that was like, you are so dumb. You are really dumb for real.
Yeah.
Or what? Oh, he had the song. They climbing in your window. They snatching our people up.
Yes. Yes.
And so many of them, again, like were famous for a bit, got money and endorsement deals for a bit, and then people were done with them and they just had to go back to life. And some people have tried to like still lean on it a little as long as they can or like, squeeze the lemon as much as they could get juice out of it. But most just kind of tap out and fizzle out and you never hear from them again. And I'm like, that's got to be the most jarring thing to experience that high of a swing. It's not like, even for an actor who is trying to go after a career of some note, it's still jarring when you finally get it. I can't imagine when you weren't even looking for it. Right?
Right.
So,
right.
Poor Doorman. Poor DeMarr.
Yes. I was like, he had to do the infomercial and then people got injured by the product. And then he did the
apology.
I laughed at his apology because it was like the classic fake influencer non-apology. He's like, look, I was deceived too. If you support me, I support you. Keep
Keep
knocking.
knocking.
He trying to make a new. He trying to make a new catchphrase work
Did he call them door
because people are
knockers?
done
Isn't
with.
that what he called them or something like that? When he addressed them by a name, like they had some type of fandom name.
Oh yes, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Like he had a fan
mhm.
base. Like yeah,
Anyway,
like Swifties or
yeah,
something.
exactly.
Um,
But yeah, the apology video was very on brand, very
Terrible.
on brand. And then homie is in his car, probably living in his car, looking at these eviction notices and all this different stuff. And it's just like, oh man. So naturally, when Josh Gad calls, and then this is the other thought I had, which I mean, I guess even that would be hard to go back to. Or maybe Josh Gad would be like, why would you want to be my assistant? But like, why not just go back and work for Josh Gad? Like, at least you're still in a high income something.
Yeah, I feel like it was probably a pride thing, and
Mm,
he didn't ask for it.
mm,
But I bet you, if he had been like Josh,
yeah.
come on,
Yeah.
he would have just taken him back because it served Josh Gad right
Right.
to have. They show him like being able to like escape the
Paparazzi.
paparazzi because Doorman can like
Exactly. Exactly.
get him out of a place quickly. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't even lean on that relationship,
he was
but
probably
I'm sure it was
embarrassed.
a pride thing. And then we also see another thing that has now been coupled with this is we're having some substance abuse issues. We're drinking a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned with
Mm-hmm.
the voices, it's like clearly we're trying to maybe quell some of what's going on with these powers and all the
Yeah,
body mind distortion that's happening from that, in addition to
yeah.
having this incredible high and incredible low of fame. And I'm sure all of that's messing with his head. And so
Mm-hmm.
now we're just trying to drown it out with the liquor. And then we get the call. And then we get the call from Josh. He comes back into the picture. He's putting up cash grab too. He says the studio wants to make it. They want you back. And DeMarr's like, this is it. This is my big break. And when they cut to him in his trailer, passed out drunk, I said, no, he's going to mess it
Yep.
up. Like he's going to ruin
Yep.
it. Sir,
Yep.
this was your second chance. You need to be on top of things. What are you doing? Drunk?
Yep. Because the first time it was fun, no pressure, and this time it's all the
All
pressure,
the
and he
pressure.
couldn't handle
Oh
it.
my gosh. And then he's just stumbling to set. Ha ha ha. Yeah, you know me. Ding dong. Like just not,
On my own steps.
yeah, to my own stunts. And he's like in that man's face to ha, you know, you can smell all the Hennessy on his breath. Um, so yeah, as soon as I saw he'd been drinking, I was like, well, this isn't going to go well. The scene that comes, I could not have foreseen in terms of like just the visual of it. But
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But we get the final climactic scene. This is when he finally does his own stunts of getting the team out. And so Josh is like, all right, here we go. And so they're filming it. Josh throws the bag of cash through DeMarr. DeMarr's not looking so great. He's kind of like, whoop, whoop. You know, we've got some retching going and some just discomfort in the face. He's looking a little green behind the gills, as they say. And the fact that nobody clocks it, like, I'm surprised that nobody was like, are you good, man? Like, I don't know. Anyway,
I was just gonna say that it's like he's just a prop. Like nobody
that you're
noticed
right.
that.
That's a
Like
good point.
nobody cut that he was clearly not
That is a
handling it
great.
well. And maybe if somebody had paused, Josh Gad would still be with us in this dimension.
But that's a great point that you're right. People probably were just seeing him as a prop and not a person. So they're not going to be noticing any of that, which is unfortunate. And then, yeah, Josh takes a running start and flings himself through the familiar body that has worked every other time. And then we do not see him come out the other side. And in fact, we see something else coming out the other end. Oh, it was terrible. Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah, yeah, the puke shot. I hate a puke
I
shot. I hate a
okay.
projectile vomit
Oof,
shot. I hate
I
it.
did not care for it. I agree. Um, I will say my first thought when I saw that shot was, oh no, did he ingest Josh Gad? Vomit him out. That was my first thought, was like, oh no.
That's funny.
Now I think they're totally disconnected. I think he probably is more so just lost in the void somewhere and he couldn't process because
Yeah,
again, inebriated and all these other things.
yeah,
Um, but just, yeah, them happening simultaneously was just terrible. And so that was my
yeah.
first thought. Um, but yeah, so Josh is missing. Now it's all over the news. TMZ's got it. It's on Entertainment Tonight. Mario Lopez is reporting about it.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
I am, deeply disappointed and upset with the expectations that, the MCU has set for me.
Mm.
But I thought for sure we were going to get a post-credit scene of Josh Gad wandering around in the void. I thought for sure we were going to get him like running, just like a quick, like running in between some doors or
That would have
something.
been
Like,
fun.
hello?
Where am I?
And I was mad that they didn't
Oh,
do
they
that.
could have done
Yeah.
a little echo, a little Olaf quote, something.
Uh-huh. Like a Scooby-Doo run in one door, run out the other door. Like I thought that was gonna happen. And I was like, God dang
Yep,
it. Come
that
on.
would have been good. Yeah, that would have been too much like right. So as far as we know, at the end of the episode, Josh Gad is missing. Nobody knows where he is. Everyone has
Mm-hmm.
placed the blame fully on DeMarr. They have created this doorman clause now with the industry. No superpowered individuals
Mm-hmm.
can hold a job, a performance job at least.
Yeah, and he is locked up, probably having who knows what
Mm-hmm,
kind of tests performed on
mm-hmm.
him.
And that is the unfortunate tale of DeMarr Doorman Davis. And we end the episode by seeing Simon sitting in one of the director chairs they have on set with a crew full of extras. They're all in medical scrubs. He's reading or watching the Mario Lopez report and obviously having some thoughts. And then he takes a second to go
Mm-hmm.
walk off outside. And that's when we get this amazing needle drop from Dolly Parton that I hadn't heard before until this,
Mm-hmm.
called Johnny Carson Show. Dolly Parton wrote this song for Johnny Carson. I think she somewhat wrote it on the fly while she was actually on his couch.
On the
Mm-hmm.
show.
And
Yep.
she, I think, had used to work for Johnny. So she was just talking about like how grateful she was to him and all this other stuff. So the song lyrics go, I've come a long way from the hills of Tennessee and I've worked hard to make the folks back home real proud of me. Now everybody knows my name no matter where I go, but I never really made it till the Johnny Carson show. Now I have dreamed of stardom since I was just a kid, and me and Dollar dreamed beneath this $13 wig. In my bell-bottom jumpsuits with my rhinestones all aglow, I became an overnight success from the Johnny Carson show. From polyester paradise to silk and satin frills, from a 48-foot mobile home to a mansion on the hill, from moonshine to rare wine, from a Packard to a Rolls, but I'd never really made it till the Johnny Carson show. It goes on for a bit, but essentially, I love that this was, again, the needle drop choice of this moment, which is just showing that extreme low to high moment, like that overnight success
Mm-hmm.
thing that happens where it's like, I went from nothing to having everything from this one moment. This one moment gave me my upward trajectory, and it's just been this mountain climb ever since, right? But also there's some caveats with that, right? It's like, oh, well, maybe people don't quite, or get me confused with this, or don't quite know, or don't quite care who I am, or don't quite know who I am. But you know
Mm-hmm.
what? But I made it and I got famous, and I still, have that to look back to and be thankful for. So it's just this weird sense of like, man, I'd never get to experience this if it weren't for this thing. But also I now have to experience everything that comes with it because of this thing. And I just thought that was very poignant. And it's a great song. Gotta love Dolly.
Mm-hmm.
Always love a good Dolly Parton song. And that is Doorman.
I was waiting for you to say your other part.
Oh, which one about the?
You had another
Yes.
note.
Oh, right. Okay. I also want to shout out the cinematography for this episode was so fun and so unique. And so if you haven't watched the episode yet, I hope you have because we spoiled a lot of it. But if you haven't, it is all shot entirely in black and white. And I just thought that was so smart because it pulls this essence of like Hollywood cautionary tales, right?
Yeah.
It's not just black and white for black and white's sake. Like some people might think, oh, it's to distinguish, which it is, to distinguish it from the rest of the series and make it very set apart. But it also is pulling in this Hollywood tradition of certain black and white films. And just the way, if you're looking at the way it is shot visually and the way it's framed and set up, I got to the end of it and I was like, I don't know why this felt like watching Casablanca or it felt like watching It's a Wonderful Life. Like there was something about the way they shot this particular black and white visual language that felt very cautionary tale, very Hollywood fable, very, here's the moral or here's the tale or here's what you got to walk away with. And it just felt so poignant. I just had to get props to that.
So I have to burst your bubble just a
Oh
little
no.
bit. Very, very smart post decision. from the team, but it was
The
not
original.
originally shot in black and white. So
Mm,
Andrew Guest, I don't know if he's doing it on all of his media, all of his social media, but I've been following on TikTok. He's been dropping little behind the
okay,
scenes.
okay.
And so he dropped a clip of them filming the second Josh Gad scene where he's singing the Frozen song, and it is not in black and white. And he said that was from May 1st, 2023. And he said, this was not shot in black and white. It was a decision we made later in post, much to the dismay of our incredible DP, Armando Salas. So
Oh, the DP was
it
like, I
is
did all this
very,
work.
oh, you can't see. Oh, it's not
Oh,
going to show
okay.
up on
That's
here,
fine.
but it's very pretty. The nightclub scene, it is very pretty. It's not black and white. But I do think all the reasons that you are saying are why they chose to switch it to black and white in post, but it wasn't shot that
Okay,
way.
that makes
But it
sense.
looks like it was, and it's so well
That
done.
makes sense for MCU that they wouldn't shoot it in black and white initially. I do feel bad for the DP him saying that. I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
know that DP worked hard to get all these like colors and lights captured a certain
Yeah.
way, and then it just all went out the window. That sucks.
Yeah, and I know even let me actually look. I'm not sure if it was the DP for the whole series or if it was he was just brought in for that.
Mm,
But even if he was the DP for the whole series, because of what the episode is supposed to be, he probably still put in a lot of work to make it look
yeah,
visually different, even though black and white wasn't the
yeah.
initial vision, right? He's probably still put in a lot of work to make it look very different from the
Yeah.
rest. So I'm sure he was like, oh
Here's
man.
what I can say. For it not being shot in black and white, that's almost more impressive to me on the DP's end and on other folks like wardrobe and lighting, because the contrast is so
Mm,
sharp and so good that it feels like everything was intentioned for it to be black and white, right? Like, so that when it's in black
mhm.
and white, it'll look that much sharper. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but like to shoot in black and white, you can't just wear any old thing, right? If you want things to like
No.
have this contrast between light and dark, you have to be very strategic about the colors you choose for people to wear, because blues look a certain way in black and white, reds look a certain way, all these color tones pop up
Yep.
differently. And if you want it to be a sharper contrast, you have to be very dynamic with what colors you're putting people in terms of wardrobe, lighting,
Yeah.
scenery, all that stuff. So I just remembered watching it and thinking that it was intentioned because everything looked so sharp. So it's almost more impressive that the DP
Yeah.
clearly did the work where it could work
Right.
in either
Yeah.
mode.
And just for factoids, I looked it up and answered my question. So he DP'd 4 of the episodes, the two
Okay.
that we talked about today, Pacoima and Doorman, and then later on, episodes 7 and
Okay.
8.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
yeah.
Well, shout out to him. Doing a fine job. A fine job indeed. Because Pacoima was also shot very beautifully as well. Let's get that also
Yeah.
straight. I mean, the whole series has been very cinematic. And I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of what people are registering that are enjoying it. It doesn't feel like your typical MCU show visually, stylistically. And maybe
Hmm.
because there is that sense of them trying to do like the Hollywood love letter type of thing, that it
Yeah.
does have a little more cinematic vibes to it. But
Right.
yeah, doing a great job so far. So, all right, guys, we're up through episode 4. We did it. It doesn't always work out to do these little side quest episodes, right?
Right.
Sometimes
Yeah.
people will hate it and be like, "Boo, get back to the story."
I was gonna say also people are haters.
Mhm.
Like it reminds me of, just to wrap it back around to Severance.
Oh,
It reminds me of
people
Salt's
did
Neck, which
not
we
like Salt
loved that
Neck.
episode, but people did not like Salt's Neck. Haters. It was so
Callie,
necessary. It was so necessary for the story. And so I definitely could have easily seen Doorman being like, oh, this was just an extra side thing
mhm.
for them to play with, where it was so necessary for it to not just be a line or two of
Right.
exposition of what the
Or like a
Doorman clause
flashback
was.
scene or something like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
literally just had a conversation with one of my coworkers about the Salt's Neck episode of Severance, and they said the same thing. And I was just like, why do people not like this episode? Well, we've had our discussions about
I
it.
really
We
like that
really enjoyed
episode.
it.
Yeah.
And I took everything in me to not just go down like a rabbit hole and jump on my soapbox and be like, I think you're missing the point. Like so I just let them have their opinion and was like, all right, well, it seems like it wasn't for
Okay.
everybody, I guess, but if you're a real fan.
Right. Right.
So
You didn't
is what it is.
understand
But
the
all that to
art.
say, it is a gamble to do these kind of side quest episodes that kind of take you off the beaten path to
Mm-hmm.
explore something with intention and have it connect back and do it well.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for hanging with us. We would love you to continue to hang with us offline. So follow us on the following social platforms. We are on Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, Lemonade, YouTube, at the UUR Pod. You can also email us at the UURpod@gmail.com. You can also become one of our patrons on patreon.com/the UUR Pod. Join the Severed Floor membership tier. You'll be able to find extended cut episodes, our video podcast, early access to bonus content. It's great. Otherwise, do us a favor, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so that more can come and join in the fun of the UUR. All right, I did it.
Woohoo! This has been the UUR. And remember, you don't meet a lot of people in this town who are happy with where they are. Hold on to that. R.I.P. Josh Gad.
R.I.P. Josh Gad, maybe? Question mark? R.I.P.?
Maybe.